Hi everybody. So I am pre-recording this video on December 8th to be published December 28th at noontime. It is currently 8:15 p.m. on December 8th. Today I am here to talk about 2025 goal progress and what my goals are for next year. The first goal is related to jobs and finding a job I like. I have been volunteering at the Boys and Girls Club in Portland since I moved here, while I have waited patiently for Vertical Harvest to open. My job at Vertical Harvest is starting in the middle part of January to the beginning of February, and I'm very excited that things are finally getting started. It's been taking a while because they had to build the building and then hire all the upper tier staff for management. So I'm very excited about starting the job at Vertical Harvest. I'm going to miss the Boys and Girls Club kids that I work with because it's been so great getting to know them all. But I will, once I get adjusted to my work schedule and figure out a time when I can go back to visit them, I definitely plan to. The next goal that I had planned for the coming year was to travel to Florida. So, unfortunately, this is a problem. Research has proven to us that Disney World is no longer in our price range. So, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to go on this vacation next year because we read an article in the New York Times in October saying that Disney World is basically becoming outpriced for people in the middle class, which is us. So the tickets are not affordable for us, unfortunately. So we are researching alternative options that are less expensive and doing research about places we can go. Top places we're considering are the Grand Canyon, Savannah, Georgia, and Mystic, Connecticut. And another local travel location, it's not really local. It's in New Hampshire, but it's like 2 hours away. So it's closer than most of the places that we want to travel to, is Nesselnook Farm. This is a place that I went to when I was little because we used to have a condo in North Conway, and we used to go ice skating there and go on sleigh rides. So I'm looking forward to going there, hopefully sometime this winter when the sleigh rides are still happening. They happen throughout the winter. And then Jen was mentioning when we went on a cruise with her and Patty in October that she had never gone to Storyland as a kid. So another goal that me and her made is to go to Storyland this summer because they have like 21 plus hours at the park where people who are over 21 can go. And that would be so much fun because, Storyland was another place that I went to when we had the condo in North Conway. My family had the condo in North Conway from when I was 1 to when I was 12, and then we sold the condo and moved to Amherst, New Hampshire, where I went to middle school and high school. Okay, the next goal is related to my writing. And I accomplished this goal, as you can see. So my goal related to my writing was to self-publish my friend's fanfiction. This is the standalone story to Uncle Chandler, I Love You, which is the anthology of short episode reflections of Friends episodes based on seasons 1 through 7. This standalone story, Welcome to Star Valley, focuses on seasons 8 to 10 of Friends and seasons 2 to 4 of Gilmore Girls. The epilogue focuses on The Year in a Life, which is the spin-off series that came out in 2017 when Richard Gilmore passes away. So I am very proud of this, but unfortunately, before I sent it to the publisher, I realized that when we were editing, we missed some spelling mistakes. So I'm really apologetic to everybody who is going to be getting a copy of this for the spelling mistakes. I take full accountability for that. So, behind the scenes, working on this fan fiction has stressed me out because, as you know, if you have been following this channel for a while, I was the victim of a scam in summer 2023 with somebody who was pretending to be Matthew Perry, stealing money from me. Even after he died, I was still dealing with these people who were pretending to be him, even though he was dead. And I just ended up blocking them. But not only was I dealing with those people, but I was dealing with several other people who were pretending to be Friends actors or other celebrities, and that was just getting really frustrating. More recently, I have dealt with a person who was pretending to be Jennifer Aniston's stepbrother or something, and he was trying to sell me a fan pass to get in touch with Jennifer Aniston, but I ended up blocking him because he ended up being another scammer. So I have gotten really wise to knowing who is a scammer and who is not a scammer, which is a good thing because dealing with these people stresses me out. And honestly, dealing with all of these hackers has made me not want to be on social media. It has made me really reconsider still doing my podcast with Kathleen in certain ways, because I also think that attributes to me getting hacked more. So I'm actually glad that we're going to be taking a step back from doing as many videos on YouTube for the podcast. So I am selling this book at the art show at Double House Outstar on Friday for $10. If you have purchased this already during the pre-order period leading up to the art show, thank you for your support. Unfortunately, I'm not sure how many of these are going to end up selling at the art show because of all the spelling errors in it. And I also apologize that the epilogue at the end of the book cut off when we laid out the page. I realized that there was a layout problem and the end of the first epilogue is missing. So I am working diligently this week before the art show to put all of the inserts into the books that are being sold there. So, again, I apologize for all of this. But this is only the first version of this, and I may end up going back to edit it and taking out the subplot that alludes to the relationship between my self-insert character and Chandler, because there are still little bits and pieces of that carried over from the first story into this one that I meant to erase, so I felt bad about still including those. And I just wanted to say that with that whole issue, yes, Jennifer's character is meant to be me. This story was my way to cope with Matthew Perry's death. The fact that Chandler dies from addiction in this book is definitely tied to how Matthew Perry passed away. But the whole plot line with the romance between my self-insert character and Chandler, that is totally fictional. That has nothing to do with Friends at all. And if people think that I was abused, I never was. So please do not think about that when you read this story. Take that plot line with a grain of salt. And I also wanted people to know that the whole point behind that plot line with this fan fiction was because, obviously, if you couldn't tell, I wrote this fan fiction and Uncle Chandler, I Love You as a way to memorialize Matthew Perry's death. And the whole plot line with my self-insert character having a relationship with Chandler was a way to process dealing with all of the hackers that I was dealing with. So that whole plot line has actually nothing to do with Friends or Chandler's character at all. It more so has to do with what was going on with me behind the scenes while I was writing this story and making all of this content for YouTube, which I'm going to be making less of starting on January 1st. So as far as goals for 2026 are concerned, the first thing I wanted to talk about is weight loss. This is something I have struggled with on and off for a long time, actually. And I'm finally starting to get serious about the weight loss because my goal is to walk in a 5K race that's going to be in my hometown in June. So I am in the process now of working out at the gym, running on a treadmill, lifting weights to prepare for the 5K. The biggest struggle I have dealt with my weight loss is cutting out sugary snacks, primarily Dunkin' Donuts, and I am working harder on doing that, which is a good thing because honestly, I realized that was the biggest mistake I was making in my diet, was not being honest about how often I was eating Dunkin' Donuts and not realizing that I really don't need all of the sugar from the coffee. So like, to offset getting the sugary flavors into the coffee, when I order a coffee, I get the non-sugar flavor of the coffee, or I just get the coffee black and put cream and sugar in it instead of the sugary flavors, or just cream, no sugar, because I'm trying to cut back on the sugar. The next goal for 2026 is related to Double House Arts. If you have come to the art shows that we have done in the past year, you will have noticed a lot of fan art that was on the walls that is related to Friends and Gilmore Girls. Next semester, you will start to see a lot less of that because the whole reason why I was making all of that stuff was because of processing the loss of Matthew Perry's death. And yeah, sure, I'm always going to grieve the loss of one of my favorite celebrities, but I'm not going to openly grieve it so much anymore by making the fan art and writing the fan fiction. For my artwork at Double House Arts from next semester, I am going to try to focus my artwork more on watercolor and collage, because those are two mediums I have been experimenting with when I am not doing so much fan art, and I have really been enjoying doing that. I have also been in a play this year that was directed by my art teacher Amelia, that was part of Port Fringe, which is the Fringe Festival that is in June. And I'm hoping to write a one-act play about my disability for that festival. to be honest, that might end up being pushed back until 2027 because I don't know if the Port Fringe Festival would overlap with the 5K I want to run, and I don't think I can do too many things at once. But I've already started to do a little bit of research to write my play. And one book that I read last month during Nonfiction November for research for my play was One More Step, which is the story of the memoir of a man with cerebral palsy who ran a 5K and also hiked Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa. So his book was what really encouraged me more to train hard for this 5K. So that book was obviously a 5-star read for me. As far as my writing, aside from writing the play script for Port Fringe, I'm also going to be redirecting my focus to work on the children's book manuscript that I was working on before I started delving into writing so much fan fiction about Friends and the Uncle Chandler I Love You anthology. And I'm also hoping to write more poetry next year as well, because I haven't written as much of that as I would like in the past couple of years. The next goal is related to my reading. As far as my reading, my goals to that are to not put so many books on hold at the library at once, because sometimes the books will come off of the hold shelf really in quick succession and I can't keep up with everything. Like, that happened to me a couple of weeks ago. I had like 10 books come in at once one day and 10 books come in at once the next day. But I don't think I think the best way to combat that is to spread out the emails that I send to the library with hold requests, so that way I don't have as many holds to be requesting. Also, I'm going to be answering the discussion questions right away after I finish the book, or answer them as I read the book, because my reading journal has moved to Storygraph, and whenever I take notes on what I'm reading in Storygraph, I can just answer the discussion questions in there. I also answer them sometimes in my reading progress videos. The other goal that's related to my reading is to not set a reading goal on Storygraph. First of all, I finished my Goodreads reading goal as soon as I made my mid-year freakout tag video in the summer, but I still continued to read anyway, even though the Goodreads goal was achieved. Next year, I don't think I'm going to set a Goodreads goal, because I hate competing with myself, because it takes all the fun and enjoyment out of reading. What I've also been realizing is that my videos on YouTube don't really get a lot of views, so sometimes I feel like I'm pushing all this content out, and either not enough people are watching it, or even after I give it a few days to settle or a week to settle, it still doesn't get a lot of views. I'm not really into people commenting on my videos. Please comment if you want, if you feel like you have something to say about what I'm talking about. But I'm not going to force you to comment if you don't want to. I understand that people may not have the same interests as I do when it comes to books or TV shows, especially when it comes to the podcast for Friends and Gilmore Girls. Like, I understand that not everybody I know likes Friends. My family isn't really into that show either, so sometimes they don't even watch my podcast, which I completely understand. Everybody has different tastes, and I respect. One thing that I hope people leave behind in 2026 is being mean to people who do not have the same book taste as you. I have seen discourse in videos that I watch in the comment section, specifically for this person I follow, Mariana Moore. People have been so mean to her in her comment section. And I know another YouTuber I follow, Haley Hughes, deals with this a lot too. And this makes me feel so sad because these content creators work so hard to put content out for all of us to consume about book reviews. So I don't deal with this issue myself with leaving people mean comments, but I hate seeing other people that I follow on YouTube getting bullied. And another thing, people bullied Ali Hazelwood, one of my favorite authors, off of Instagram because of her opinion of Hunger Games characters, which is so stupid. That makes me so mad that even our favorite authors cannot communicate with their readers and share common things with how they feel about books that we all read together in our community. So this toxic behavior in BookTube is making me not want to post videos anymore because I feel like I might become the next target of people's mean comments. And I deal with enough bullshit with the hackers pretending to be famous actors. I can't deal with any more negativity on social media, so please be nice to me in the comment section. If you say anything mean to me, I will delete your comment and then block you. There will be no questions asked. This is a safe and supportive community on this channel. Please be nice to me, and please be nice to everybody else who leaves a comment, even though nobody really ever leaves me a comment. But if you choose to leave a comment, be nice to my and be nice to each other. Thank you. My other 2026 goal is just related to YouTube in general. I'm going to be stepping back from posting so many videos because I need to focus on my job at Vertical Harvest. And I need to focus on my personal life, like my weight loss, my goal to lose weight, my goal to run the 5K. So, I have mentioned this in other videos, but Kathleen and I are going to be posting our next podcast video for the Friends and Gilmore Girls podcast at the end of April. Matt and I will be doing bi-monthly wrap-ups for our entertainment blog at the end of every 2 months. So we are splitting our holiday video into 2 parts. The first part is coming out next week on December 20th. The second part will be out on January 4th. Our January-February wrap-up video will be out on February 28th. Our March-April video will be out on April 26th. Our summer wrap-up video will be up at the end of August, and that will be the last video that we do. Because as much as we love making videos for you guys, we're just too busy. And when Vertical Harvest begins, we really won't have as much time to watch as many TV show episodes and movies as we do at the current time, because we will be busy with our jobs and our other hobbies and doing stuff with our families and traveling, because we're going to go on vacation at some point next year. And we're planning that trip in January. So yeah, we will just be having less time to post videos, and our blog, our entertainment blog videos will be ending in September. The podcast that Kathleen and I do together is ending after Thanksgiving next year. And then the videos that I do individually with my book reviews, those will be ending in June, or they may end earlier. It depends on how much time I have with everything going on with my new job. So please share below with me what your goals are for next year. And I hope everybody has a happy and healthy start to 2026. Thank you for your continuous support of my videos. Like, comment, subscribe, hype. Thank you.